Everyone thinks the ancients were primitive. They were catastrophically wrong. I've read the salvage logs myself, the ones filed in 1901 by Greek sponge divers off the island of Antikythera. What they pulled from the Aegean that spring wasn't treasure in the way anyone expected. It was bronze. Corroded, fractured, nearly unrecognizable. No one knew yet what they'd actually found. That's the gap I want to sit with you in, the moment before knowledge arrives. May 1902. The artifact arrived at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. Conservators studied it in dim light, turning it over. 37 bronze gears, inscriptions in ancient Greek, dials. The device was no larger than a human fist. Most scholars looked at it and saw a curiosity, maybe a clock, maybe decorative. They didn't understand it yet. That's crucial. They didn't know what they were holding. Decades passed. The mechanism sat in storage. Then, in 1951, a historian named Derek de Solla Price began serious examination. He used X-rays, a technology the ancients never dreamed of, to peer through the corrosion. What he found changed everything. The gears weren't random. They were precisely calibrated. They moved in mathematical relationship to one another. This thing calculated. By 1959, Price had his answer. The Antikythera Mechanism predicted celestial events. It tracked the movements of the sun, moon, and planets. It calculated lunar months, eclipse cycles, even the Olympic Games schedule. A Greek engineer, probably Hipparchus or someone like him, had built this around 100 BCE. A machine that predicted the stars. 2,000 years before mechanical clocks became common in Europe. Think about that, not in abstract terms. Think concretely. An engineer in Alexandria or Rhodes, holding bronze sheet and hand tools, measuring angles, cutting gears to tolerances we associate with the Industrial Revolution. They didn't have computers. They had geometry and intention. That's the human detail that matters, the deliberation required. But here's where the story deepens. This technology vanished. After the Roman Empire fragmented, the knowledge died. For nearly 1,500 years, nothing like it was built. Medieval Europe, the Islamic Golden Age, they had brilliant astronomers and mathematicians, yet no one reconstructed the mechanism. They didn't know it had existed. The gap between what was known and what was lost. Catastrophic. I've thought about this often, the way expertise can vanish in a single generation. The mechanism teaches us something practical about deliberate practice and transmission of knowledge. You can build something extraordinary, but if you don't document it, teach it, embed it in culture, it evaporates. The engineer who created this left no manual we've found, no apprentices we know of, no school. What did the ancients actually understand? That's the real question the Antikythera Mechanism forces us to ask. We've carried an assumption that progress is linear, that complexity is modern. This bronze device, built when Rome was expanding across the Mediterranean, demolishes that narrative. The ancients weren't primitive, they were practical. They solved problems with the tools they had. The mechanism also reveals something about human nature, our drive to understand the cosmos. You don't build something this precise unless you're obsessed, unless the night sky means something to you beyond practical navigation. The engineer wanted to know how the universe worked. That's a philosophical impulse dressed in bronze. Modern analysis, completed only in the last decade, I should mention, used CT scanning technology to read the remaining inscriptions. Researchers at University College London and the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki mapped every gear, every calculation. They confirmed Price's original thesis. The ancient engineers had solved problems of mechanical computation that wouldn't be seriously tackled again until the 1600. What does this mean for you, sitting with modern complexity? It means the ancients faced something we face, the need to simplify the universe into something comprehensible. They built a machine. We build models, equations, software. The medium changes. The impulse to reduce chaos to pattern stays the same. That's stoic wisdom embedded in gears. There's also a lesson in humility here. We discovered this device by accident. It sat in a museum, dismissed, for 50 years. How many other insights are we walking past? How much wisdom have we inherited but failed to recognize because it doesn't fit our expectations? The Antikythera mechanism teaches us to look closer at what we think we understand. The mechanism also reminds us that knowledge isn't cumulative in a straight line. The Romans conquered Greece. They didn't inherit this technology. It was lost, rediscovered, lost again. What we call progress is often just recovery. We're standing on ruins, occasionally finding something that makes us realize how high the previous structure reached. If you're overwhelmed by modern life, by the pace, the complexity, the feeling that you're always behind, the Antikythera mechanism offers perspective. 2,000 years ago, someone faced the same impulse you do, to understand, to organize, to build something that lasts. They did it without electricity, without computers, without the infrastructure we take for granted. Deliberate practice, precision, intention. The final thought: the mechanism was probably built for a specific person, maybe a wealthy Greek patron, maybe a scholar. It was a tool for understanding, not for profit, not for mass consumption, for knowledge. That distinction matters. What are you building? What's the actual purpose? Strip away the noise. The ancients did. The Antikythera mechanism sits now in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. You can see it if you go. You can stand in front of it and feel the weight of that gap. The moment before it was understood, the centuries it was lost, the precision of the human hands that built it. It's a mirror. It shows us what we're capable of when we slow down and focus. The ancients weren't primitive. They were deliberate. They understood that knowing yourself and knowing the universe requires precision, patience, and the willingness to build something that might outlast you. That's not just history. That's a framework for how to live. Subscribe. Each week, we uncover the overlooked wisdom hidden in history that speaks directly to how you should live now.